Right. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Crypto with English. I have the distinct pleasure today of having Irene Lyakovetsky, the host of SaugaTalks, come on to our show here today. It's great to interview and have a guest on who is effectively doing what I am doing, bringing on different special guests across the tech in Web3 industry and blockchain and have them come on and discuss their projects and discuss their takes on things. I've seen your show be, I guess you could say, circulate and gain ever more visibility across social media for quite a while now. So one could say I am also a fan of SaugaTalks as well. And just to give everybody a little bit of context regarding Irene's show, SaugaTalks. So they're included in the 50 podcasts thought leaders should listen to in 2021. This is by the publication Thinkers 360, and it's been widely circulated and widely mentioned and written about in other publications, as well as essentially a platform that people should start listening to if they really want to start engaging and learning more about Web3 technology and some of the movers and shakers here. So, Irene, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. As you mentioned, of course, I am very comfortable in the host chair. All right.
Yes.
So I love interacting with smart people. Okay. That's what makes my days. That's what makes me waking up every morning and feeling good. All right. But being a guest. Okay. What a privilege. What a privilege.
Right.
Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday.
Yeah, definitely wearing a different hat today. So I'm sure it must feel both exciting and surreal being the guest instead of the host. Especially here on today's episode. So, what made you want to create SaugaTalks? If you could talk a little bit about the background story of that.
Sure. I like to interact with smart people. That's it. That's it. You know what? In the digital age, it seems like it's a shame if you're not trying to connect virtually, if not trying to expand, some things that you knew before, but really developing and understanding, hey, you know what? I can be YouTuber, I
Right.
can be podcaster. All right, let me add value to people's lives. So when I meet new people, when I kind of interact, we talk about tech, we talk about artificial intelligence, you mentioned,
Right.
we talked about Web3, blockchain, metaverse, right? So I expand my horizon and I hope I add some sparkles to people's lives. So that's what SaugaTalks all about. I encourage everyone, okay, on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, LinkedIn, Twitter, find me, we'll have fun.
Well said. And could you discuss a little bit about your professional background before you created the podcast show?
Oh, sure. I can talk about how much time we have. I can talk about.
That's right.
Yeah.
Please,
I come from technology industry. You know what? Back in the 90s, all right, I was a developer. I was an Oracle developer, actually. Putting fun applications together for a number of
Oracle,
commercial clients. Oracle, good stuff, databases, hot stuff at the time. So after a couple of decades, in different roles in development, in project management, in marketing, worldwide marketing, I kind of loved that global reach. Okay, I spent so many years at IBM, all right, working with teams across the globe, you name it, across US, of course, Europe, India, fantastic experience across the globe. And then, when I became my own entrepreneur, my own entity, I figured, the best experiences I've learned, the best fun I had was actually hosting panels at big events and just uniting people who are interested in what's next for technology, what's next for business, how are we gonna break the silos, okay, inside the big enterprises, how we're gonna bring startup community closer to large players, how engineers will actually stop being ivory tower residents, how we're going to democratize technology. So all those fantastic topics, for me, they're not just words. I worked in the industry. I am still part of that community. I'm just happy to unite more people around those items.
And by the way, I like the reference you used, ivory tower, because it seems like years ago, if you wanted to break into tech, if you wanted to even do just a career change, if you wanted to start your journey in this space, there seemed to be a little bit of a distance or an aloof type nature, so to say. And I think podcasting and, let's say, doing things that, let's say, you are doing and many other people are doing, by having guests from various parts of tech come on, these conversations are allowing people to kind of relax and learn in a very, very easygoing way. And I think from there, people can figure out what they're interested in and what direction they want to go in. Because, if we're talking about the 90s, a lot of times when, if you're speaking of like developers and things like that, a lot of the context seemed more like an ivory tower. So whether it's, various, I guess you could say upper crust, tech publications or journals, like most people are not going to engage in that if they're looking to jump into tech, if they're first timers, if they're just trying to figure out and kind of get their feet wet, so to say. Podcasts like this, like what you're doing with SaugaTalks, these conversations kind of take those walls down, so to say. So you can have this type of dialogue and people could be like, oh, well, that's not as complicated as I thought it was. Like, oh, that's very interesting stuff. So I'm glad you used that reference, to say the least.
You're hitting that nail on that head, all right? Because forget about 90s, forget about 2000s. Right now, so many frustrated younger generations who are entering the job markets, and they still thinking, you know what, I'm not a computer scientist. I don't have that technical degree. The whole technology world is somewhere, I'm just a consumer. Right. I'm using my apps, right? I kind of know how to navigate here and there, but that's not going to be my career. And that's what I'm trying to say. And a lot of leaders I have as guests on my show, they're bringing those barriers down. Yes. Because the entrance, the barriers of entrance, they're extremely low right now. Just talk about some technology, low code, no code. Okay, we're not going to talk about how easy it is, how everyone can code tomorrow. No, that's not the case, right? You do need to have the competencies there. But at the same time, if you're inclined, if you're interested, there's so many options right now. Boot camps. Okay. Yeah, fantastic opportunities. I know people personally who just changed their career after a few years, finding out that what they studied in college may be not what they want to do. Or if they did not go to college, that's great too, because there's so much need for blockchain specialists, for RPA, robotic process automation specialists, those who are helping to, let's say, make mundane tasks kind of automated. That's why people, so people can be human. People can be creative at work. Okay, they don't need to do data entry from 9 to 5 or even longer. All these long hours. So I'm just bringing a lot of different points right now. But one point I wanted to, on the audience to take away from today is that if you're kind of interested, okay, if you feel inclined, you will get a lot of help if you just reach out to communities, to a lot of people who can help. I can help. Let me know if you want to. Absolutely, right? I put you in contact. Depend what area
viewers, please reach out to Irene. She's very
reach out. I am pretty social. Social. I kind of know what it means when, let's say, technology people look very serious all the time. Okay. Right. Very serious, very introverted, very smart, for sure. Yeah. But guess what? You know what? The world is changing around us. We're going to touch a little bit on Metaverse. But before we're going into like highly rich, highly desirable universes, we're still in very physical and interesting world. That's why you can get help in a way that if you're not going to become a guru in your field overnight, that's not going to happen. Don't take me wrong. But starting that way and just having the satisfaction of learning things and doing them, that's how I started, right? Just start doing things and this is interesting. You start creating things, you being part of something. okay, bigger than that. And if you're still not interested, even after our inspiring talk here, there's so many jobs for people who are not technical in technology. We need stories, we need content, we need video content, we need audio content, we need good hosts, we need good journalists around technology. Okay, there's so many things that people can do. And of course, creative ones, graphics, engineers, they know nothing about graphics. I'm sorry. Okay, product created by engineers. We all know these anecdotes and stories, right? So if you're interested, and you should be interested, if you live in this day and age, there's so many opportunities.
Wow, and that's incredibly well said. You know what it seems like, especially when it comes to first-time either viewers or participants in the tech industry. It seems like there's a lot of either, I don't know if it's the leadership, I don't know if it's the subject matter, but it seems a little intimidating for a lot of people as well. And kind of like what you said, people will be like, oh, can I really do this? This seems a little much. Why do you think that is? And do you think it's easier now to kind of start that journey into tech? Maybe more so than before.
You know what? It doesn't look like it's easier. Okay. Because again, I speak with a lot of people who kind of sort of don't know what to do with their lives despite fabulous education or just great background and other experiences. Okay. People as frustrated as they were always. All right. So that's why we are we're very social. You have to have an example in front of you. You have to have something that's saying, hey, I can do it. That doesn't change. Despite of the technology progress, right? Despite of new generations of platforms that so user friendly, so intuitive, right? We could not even imagine, I don't know, 50 years ago. It used to be, what is it? Black screen and green text on that screen. You had to be an engineer, to even come closer to it, right? So those barriers definitely down, but it's not easy. So what I would encourage, again, if you're remotely interested, if you sort of in humanities, if your, let's say, life experience, if your education, if whatever your inclination, right, if you're a writer, if you're a creator, if you're a designer, all right, there's so many I would say merging disciplines now, merging disciplines that I'm sure you will find. You just have to be, proactive. Just do something. Stop talking. Stop listening to us right now. Do something.
Start to. Yeah, well said. And moving off of that, so you mentioned a great point when we had our initial call a few weeks ago. Metaverse is going to be the next, I guess you could say, era or transformation of social media. So when we think of things like Twitter, Meta / Facebook, Instagram, and things like this, people are wondering, and by the way, I asked you, where is social media going to be next? What is going to be the next transformation? And you said Metaverse is going to be the next social media. So talk about that a little bit.
All right. Nowadays, everyone is a visionary. Okay. So everyone have predictions for next decade or something, right? I don't want to be one. I'm just sharing what I understand because, there's still lots of skeptics out there, right? There are huge new adapters community that just jumping on the seat, every second there's new article, there's new shiny, of course, development out there. So what I'm learning, again, from my esteemed guest and just on my own, right, is that technology is there. The progress that we've seen in AR, VR, in social networking, right, in cloud technology, in AI, helping us really reshape our lives with Metaverse or without Metaverse, right? That's already here. But social aspect of it, it will continue grow on us. Some people say LinkedIn is already a Metaverse, okay? Yes, it's not 3D, right? We're not emerging in those spaces. We're not dealing with avatars. But guess what? Let me bring this example, because LinkedIn, to me, right, this is a digital space. People say things about themselves, some of them funny, some of them real. All right. Avatar, you can have whatever picture out there. It's not yet, again, 3D. It's not immersive, but it pretty much is telling the story you want to tell. right? So in a way, the new future with metaverse that I think we'll be part of, like it or not, okay, is that yes, it will move into 3D. Yes, we will have this avatar experience with a lot of gamification elements in it, for
Right.
sure. Okay, because people have, love to have fun. People love to have challenges
Indeed.
and rewards and user experience and all this fun, right? So that's coming, like it or not. But what I'm thinking is that we still will be us. We still will be very human in a way that our avatars will have to be telling some real stories about us. Otherwise, it is gaming. It's just gaming. So there is no short answer. There's no short answer to, so for me, metaverse just will be another place where we're going to interact, where we're going to meet each other like we're meeting each other today, right? You and me. Fabulous, right?
Yeah.
But there is also the huge metanomics aspect of it. So if you'd like, we can talk about it a little later. But point is that it will be affecting our existing, the way we work, the way we shop, the way we transact, the way we exchange goods.
Right. So social media in the metaverse, this could literally be people's avatars, and I guess you could say people's character skins, so to say. Literally just almost in like a video game open world scenario type of thing, walking up to another individual and then essentially, like a video game, start engaging in dialogue, start, engaging in, certain actions, whether they're, transactions, whether it's exchanging dialogue or something else. Do you think LinkedIn is going to be the best model as far as what the metaverse will end up being as kind of what social media is?
Sure,
I guess as far as how social media is going to transform.
Oh yeah, absolutely. LinkedIn is one example. Twitter, we know, right? As long as as soon as technology will be just accessible to everyone, because cost of entry, right, is still huge. So right now, to me, we will take the best of our social practices from LinkedIn, from Twitter, from Facebook, right, into metaverse. But right now, of course, metaverse is mostly on the retailers' mind. Right. It's for training. It's for immersive experiences that, hey, people can train for disasters, for horrible experiences that they can be prepared for, thanks to this, to the virtual worlds we're all going to be part of. So fun with retailers, of course. Right. Look at what Nike is doing. Look at Gucci, Louis Vuitton. I mean, the fantastic world where, we now use this term phygital. It's physical and digital, right? When it's colliding. So in metaverse, we're kind of stepping from our physical existence, right, into this new universe with metaverse avatars, with fantastic product demos. We can interact. We can be part of those brands already. We don't need to leave by the store, right? We don't need to even enter that store ever. Right? But we're part of that community. So with that, Generation Z, those who grew up with gaming, and Alpha, forget about it. I mean, they live in digital world, right? So for them, shopping without metaverse, what do you mean? I have to, I have my 2D world, my 2D interactions. No, that's not cool. So with that, of course, we're looking into something really huge in front of us.
And what role do you think AI will be playing in the metaverse, both as far as like benefits and security problems and concerns?
You know what? AI will play the role. Okay, I see immediately. It's not me. It's again, lots of experts agree that, language, translation, communication, okay, things that, again, we don't want to lose our distinct languages because it's part of the cultures, it's part of who we are, right? And I find some interesting articles out there that's saying that AI immediate impact will be, and again, how we're going to interact, how avatars will be able to understand each other seamlessly without even transcribing the speech. Okay, without even doing tremendous things that's already part of, by the way, LinkedIn, Twitter. Have you noticed how easy it is to translate the post if it's in different language?
Almost instantly, to be honest. Yeah.
That's miracle.
Yeah.
That's your metaverse, all right? That's your AI capabilities. So with natural language processing, I mean, sky is the limit. All right,
Yeah.
it's becoming more and more intuitive, and of course, it's knowing us better than we
Right.
know ourselves. So AI is part of metaverse. AI is part of actually every experience now,
Right. Very much
every
so.
single one. So if you don't get it yet, that train already left the station. But
Right. Right.
what I understand is going to be happening is that as platforms becoming again easier and cheaper for businesses to adapt. Again, it used to be only huge enterprises could afford, that kind of capabilities. Now, again, it's with cloud services, it's much easier for mid-sized company, for smaller businesses even, right, to
Right.
talk this language with their customers. So I see, again, metaverse is not going to be for everyone at the beginning,
Sure.
but we're going to be there. And last point to that, Adam, is that
Thanks.
somebody just said that, at the beginning of internet, okay, so many brands thought that it's not wise to invest into creating their websites. Okay,
Right.
so many brands thought it's just a
Yeah.
phase. Don't you see this happening right now with metaverse? Let me
Right.
ask you this.
Right. There was a time in history where a lot of major industry leaders were discouraging, the use of, I guess you could say, B2B or, B2C, commerce, so to say, setting up a website and setting up a platform like, oh, the internet's going to fail. Oh, things like that. And often this seems to be a very similar crowd that's also discrediting, whether it's blockchain, metaverse, NFTs, or, things like that. And, often, there's always a group of skeptics that tend to get it wrong. And it seems to be the same script, every 10 years. oh, NFTs, yeah, they're garbage. They're going to go away. Bitcoin is going to die. No, clearly that's not the case. Going off of, your explanation of AI's role in the metaverse, what do you think Mark Zuckerberg and Meta/Facebook's role is going to be? Because obviously they're trying to position themselves as really the anchor of how this space, the metaverse space, will be progressing. And given the past 10 to 15 years, there's also a lot of controversy surrounding Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, especially when it comes to bots, security concerns, even you could say various roles in U.S. elections. A lot of you could say bad press has surrounded Facebook as to their brand and credibility. So what do you think their success, or how do you think their success will end up being in this space? So to say, how do you think their story is going to end up progressing here?
You know what? I'm for healthy competition.
Yeah,
Okay. Whatever Mark Zuckerberg did or didn't, okay, his impact on humanity is huge already. Okay.
absolutely.
So he's gonna go down in history, right? With his
Right,
achievements, no questions. Okay. So I'm thinking in these categories, all right. Asking from Mark Zuckerberg doing everything for all of us from now on, it's not fair, it's not even realistic, all right. So that's why
right,
I'm not watching closely what Facebook is doing every single day, although
right,
it makes headlines. It's like huge public interest, and their haters, their lovers, there are all range of emotions. And I
right,
guess it's natural, right? When you're doing something important, you acquire, right? You acquire
right.
all that. So to me, it's about competition. It's about we're seeing, news from Microsoft, from Amazon. All right, they
Right.
want their, the role in that play, and we'll see
Yeah.
more and more. Of course, with their resources, right? They have a little bit more, space to experiment and to
Yeah.
introduce, right? So Microsoft on enterprise side, they saying their teams will be exactly that. And 2D meetings, 2D, what is it, Teams experiences is
Right.
not going to cut it anymore in 5 years. All
Right.
right. So it's not about Facebook for me at all. It's about, again, big players and small players, how the big ones is going to trailblaze, for the entire industry. And again, they will be criticized, right?
Yeah.
We were watching closely, right? They will be criticized at every level. I just don't expect all the answers coming from them,
Right.
because painfully enough to understand, but innovation often comes from smaller companies, hungrier startups, those who
Right.
have the ability and just agility, to
Yeah.
do cool stuff. So to me, respect all, respect for Facebook, respect, of course,
Sure.
Microsoft and Amazon, but there's so many cool things that's happening around them, and they acquire, right? They acquire good stuff when they see that. So this will continue. I mean, nothing new in that. So to me, again, it's not about Meta company.
Nice.
I don't want them, what is it? I don't want them to own the metaverse space, because it's just not true. That's not going to hold for
Right.
long. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So to me,
Well
it's
said.
about combined community of, again, technology industry experts who doing something every day. And again, going back to the point, if you're looking to join that world, do it, because we're at the beginning of new era. And again, there's so many people that would need to make it happen. So yeah.
Right. Well said. And many feel, and this is not I guess you could say this is not an unknown sentiment, but the metaverse may also end up being the next step of global economies. So whether this is in the US, whether this is in Europe or East Asia, so on and so forth. Excuse me. So if the metaverse is going to be the next stage of commerce, so to say. And I think if we all look at human history, we can all see how commerce has evolved. When we look at ancient cavemen and cavewomen societies, there was barter. Then there was you could say gold and silver coinage, and then you could say paper notes were developed, and then credit systems were developed, and now we have cryptocurrency. So do you think with the metaverse, this is going to be the next step in, you could say, the economic transformation of the world, where people are going to be moving more towards crypto and farther away from fiat, whether it's like the US dollar or the British pound or the euro or anything like that?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I don't have to speak for myself, right? Just look at at those who are part of that community, part of that economy already, no
Yeah.
doubt. But again, I just want to warn some of the overly excited, listeners, is that when they said crypto is not gonna stand, crypto is what it is, it's up and down, right? We don't see the crypto growing, we don't see the income we expected
Right.
from it, and all that, right? So
Right.
humans are humans, all right? So to me, it will be natural part, okay, from the traditional economy, with crypto, with NFTs,
Yeah.
growing in value, because again, technology made it available, with blockchain, with NFT technologies.
Right.
It's really accessible now. So question is, I know I'm not a financial analyst, right? I'm not here to describe markets. I would rather say that if you kind of hear this buzzword, okay, go educate yourself on it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not going to go anywhere. If it's not going to be a major part of your portfolio, of your investment next 3 years, so be it. That's fine. But it will be developing, it will be growing, and opportunities clearly is there. Because again, I'm speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs who talking about brands and connection with the customers. This is new age. I don't fully understand, okay, what we're facing. That
Right.
trust,
I'm still learning myself. Yeah.
Exactly. We all kind of in that boat, right?
Pretty much.
But at least, okay, I'm trying not to run away from it, because it's just silly. That's just silly, okay?
Yes.
So by talking with experts, with hosts like yourself, Adam, right? I'm getting more and more kind of acclimated in this world where.
And likewise.
Exactly.
Yeah, having guests like yourself also helps me learn way more as well. So it's much appreciated.
So what? Again, we have different personalities, we have different temperaments. Okay, some are more excitable, some are rather critical thinkers, thinking, maybe it's not time for me to invest yet. Okay, people say invest a little, start playing with it. You will not learn until you kind of part of the platform, until you have that wallet, tiny, just something I can risk with, right? But your hands-on experience will lead you into, look at these creators, look at what they're doing. Again, a gamification. Okay, we want to be part of something cool and interesting. All right. So this is the day and time, and just again, go with your own pace. Don't go too far, of course, and too fast. That's the
Yeah.
most, the silly part. Yeah, we don't want you to there.
And it's great that you mentioned gamification, because it seems like gamification is kind of like the catalyst that is moving a lot of these things pretty fast. Gamification, whether it's your shopping experience or whether it's even just your social media experience, gamification, regardless of age group, gets people interested and involved and curious about things. So, it's nice to have, you could say, the very bright and you could say very captivating graphics, but this gamification element is entering so many parts of this new, Web3 metaverse space. So whether it's even like dating apps, whether it's online shopping, whether it's, actually having avatars interact with each other across social media, this is kind of, you could say, the net that's, bringing everybody, together, to say the least. There has to be something about gamification that kind of makes all the reward systems in people's heads kind of go off. That's what it seems like.
Exactly, it plays on our nature again, right? Because what we want a great user experience, right? We want engagement. Right. We want to talk to our bodies, right? We want to be part of some group, right? That we feel connected to. You mentioned rewards, achievements. Okay,
yes,
achievements. Yes. We want to be rewarded, right? We want to see how well we did in certain period of time, right? So, and it drives our motivation. So let's not forget about, again, people who really become addicts, right? And spending half of their lives, is not the whole life. It's for the reason. It plays into some really psychological, built-in mechanism that actually making us stick, right? But there is also a learning part in gamification. And for that, of course, right? Some said it's the best, learning methods.
Yeah.
If you want kids remember something, right, make it a journey.
I've read that as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We did not actually in the past. We did not employ it at schools at all, right?
No, definitely
right.
Not.
So hopefully that will be coming. Otherwise, again, the old school system that prepared people for, I would say, industrial revolution of early 20th century. Okay. That's not cut it, it's not cutting.
It's not cutting anymore. You're absolutely right.
It's not cutting. It's not cutting. So gamification for serious business. It's not just for fun. It's for serious, ways to explore what we can do and what our brain actually can develop as a result.
Mm-hmm. And you brought up a very good point about the Industrial Revolution. So I absolutely love history. And if you look at the Industrial Revolution from, I guess you could say, the mid to later 1800s till almost now, the world, whether it's, the United States, whether it's Europe, whether it's East Asia, has modeled itself based on a traditional, you could say, the 9-to-5 day, 2 weeks of vacation. And, the education system, probably until recently, has pretty much stayed the same, so to say. So, as far as, the Industrial Revolution, would it be fair to say that old, you could say, workday model is disappearing? Because it seems like everybody's kind of waking up and starting to say, this isn't really effective anymore. The traditional 9-to-5 day, the traditional ways of working, commuting, and learning, it's, the results do not seem to be reaping the same rewards, to say the least.
I'm glad you bring it up. Okay, I was interested, like you mentioned, right, since Middle Ages. Okay, the way artisans used to produce, right? They used to have apprentices right next to them, just learning the craft, just learning day-to-day kind of, the skill to survive. To basically produce and survive, right? So Industrial Revolution, of course, automated so many jobs, and it was, of course, huge disruption. Huge disruption. And guess what? Education system at the time supported the skill needed at the conveyor line. Think about it.
The advent of the conveyor belt and the Industrial Revolution, both work and education was kind of built around that model.
Totally. The moment I realized it, it's like, lots of pieces fall into place for me, because exactly, you had to know your place in the system, right? Think about that. You had to know when to show up. You had to know what your particular task is, and you had to know where to hand off that task. Okay, that's it. guess what? This is so much still a picture of workplace today.
Yeah.
Not in conveyor line, everywhere, corporate world, services,
Absolutely.
inherited those practices. And that just, again, I spent in corporate world a lot of like 2 decades and in different teams, like fantastic individuals,
Right.
great ideas and all that, right? Guess what?
Yeah.
Processes, enterprise practices, they still work in a lot of ways in where do I get data? What do I do with this data? Where do I hand it off? And even the development methodology, starting with waterfall and now agile, of course, it's not new at all, but
Right.
still a lot of practices following that old mentality. All right.
Right.
So what you mentioned is that world is being ruined in front of our eyes. Okay, like it or not. Okay,
Right.
Dinosaurs want to grab on because you can control those things better. Okay,
Yeah.
with old ways,
Right.
command and control. So many
Right.
hierarchical organizations, right, that still believe if you're on top of that organization, you have, more weight to bring to the table. All right.
Right.
Again, forward-thinking organizations, they of course seeing that the big problem. All right. It's been
Yes.
15, 20 years they trying to shake it up a little bit, right? But not many succeeding, unfortunately. So going back to people entering technology industry, all right, not
Right.
everyone will be working for Facebook or Amazon. All right.
Right.
So many people in technology will be entering banks, insurance companies, fantastic businesses we want to function in our lives, right?
Yeah.
But once younger generation, they're facing those practices, they run away. They think, oh, you know what? No, this is not for me. They run away. They don't want to be part of that industrial world of
Right.
early 20th century. And they have the
pretty
right.
much. Yeah. And you made me think of something that's kind of, I don't know if it was an intentional or accidental result of this, but if you look at the Industrial Revolution, which, by the way, till today in 2022, many companies still follow, a lot of the Industrial Revolution was built around the conveyor belt, essentially having a line of workers essentially assemble and do the same tasks to create one ultimate product. So it seemed to me the ultimate goal of that was volume and mass production. It seems to me, although that may be a good model as far as you can say pure production, it doesn't seem to inspire, or it's not the best way to inspire innovation. And I think that kind of goes to what you're saying, because a lot of people don't want to and don't see themselves in that environment. Because, maybe if we look at the cubicle, almost every company, and I know it's changing nowadays, but companies more or less organize their workers in cubicles, just rows and rows of cubicles. So, figuratively speaking, I look at that, I'm like, is this the conveyor belt of, of modern day times where we're all sitting next to each other? We're all doing, essentially very similar roles. And, it is a 9 to 5 day or some sort of, similar, work day, of sorts. What do you think about that?
That's already breaking up, those
Yeah.
practices for sure. So I don't want to talk about pandemics. It's commonplace, right?
Right.
What we've been through, right? I was very lucky in my career. In early 2000s, IBM already started remote working everywhere.
Right. Yeah, they were one of the first ones. Yeah.
That was unheard of. Okay. Many friends, many acquaintances were asking,
a lot of critics were hammering IBM about that, but
how do you work from home? This is insane. Right. How do you organize your day? How do you know where to start, where to finish? How, right? But you know what made me stay with IBM, and bless them, and I wish all the success, from now on. What made me stay, what made me stick for many years, is because of that. It's because of that flexibility and that trust. Because when you don't see your team every day, when I did not see my team every day, when I met bosses over the phone and I interviewed over the phone and I quit jobs and found new positions over the phone inside that huge universe called IBM, all right? The trust And actually, my creativity was at the, the corner of it all. I
Right.
loved how people did not have to look at my shoulder, to make sure that I'm
Right.
productive.
Right.
So to me, when I feel as an individual,
Well,
right?
just like a conveyor belt, so to say, you always had like the foreman, peeking over the, you could say the worker's shoulders on the conveyor belt. Oh, you didn't
Exactly.
do this part right. You didn't do that part right. So, yeah, I just want to
Exactly.
add
So
that.
remote working was liberating for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
and we worked a lot. I mean, I worked through what is it, weekend deployments. Okay, when you're launching a big, let's say, upgrade to major system at client site. Okay,
Yeah.
and major commercial companies out there, your clients. Okay, you have on the phone at the time. Right now, it's all video, but at the time
Yeah.
when you have, I don't know, dozens of people responsible for that launch, and you're in charge. I was in charge as a project manager on important project. You feel
Yeah.
like, you're shooting rockets into the space. That's how important it was, right, to have this, connection with
Yeah.
people. But it didn't have to be physical. It's when when you're doing this task virtually, it's as productive, it's not more productive. So with
Right.
that, going back what how future of work is changing, it's already changed. It's
Right.
already changed. People don't want to come from homes to the offices after, when pandemic is over. Depends. You see, if you have great environment at home, when you
Yes.
can spend and you can dedicate part of your day, larger part of the day, to your work. Lucky
Right.
you. Some do need that office environment. They feel invigorated, they feel motivated
Sure.
by. Fine, that's absolutely perfect, right? But it has to be flexible, and of course companies will have to have more empathy to
Right.
understand what makes their people produce and be really creative and best they can be.
Yeah. That is a great point you made. And you made a very interesting point earlier. So you mentioned the Middle Ages. And, of course, I mentioned I'm a huge history, nerd, so to say. And, back, let's say in the Middle Ages, whether this is like, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, or any other region, you often had essentially a highly skilled artisan, whether they're, let's say, making armor or swords, like a blacksmith, and they had an apprentice. And often what happens is that these communities of, you could say, the expert and apprentice ended up creating things called like guilds, so to say. So
Mhm.
are we starting to see some of that again in tech and technology, where kind of moving away from, let's say, the industrial revolution conveyor belt, and now we're starting to see kind of like these, expert apprentice communities kind of building, organically growing by themselves? Because, let's say, using the historical example, this is when you had essentially people competing for, like, contracts from the various kings and queens and nobles to, make swords and make armor and make armaments. It'd be like these guilds, essentially, which are kind of like almost like these little startup communities competing, for these, opportunities.
You know what? It's here. It's here. I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of that changed. I mean, this is
Yeah.
perfect example. Because
Yeah.
again, we are organizing ourselves based on, of course, right, on commercial and professional interest. Okay,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be union. To me, union is just too regulated and just
Right.
not helping to produce and not even helping to protect the workers. But that just
As
that's
Yeah,
just
and of
my
course, as
opinion.
we've seen many examples of that, and they
Yep.
do take a lot of money out of the workers' pockets too.
So that's not
Yeah.
that. I mean, I am happy that again, technology industry was never unionized in this country, all right,
Right.
and that it promotes this growth, it promotes
Yeah.
this ingenuity, right, and the ability to start the business and to make your own, I don't know, company. It takes what, 2 hours, 2 hours
Yeah.
to file a form. This is
Right.
incredibly,
Yeah. Yeah. If you want
incredibly
to create your own
privileged.
LLC, it's very, very easy. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, thanks to the Western world, what it became, right? So we don't need to bow to the kings anymore to
Right.
have that permission,
You don't need to
right?
kiss the ring or anything. Yeah.
You don't need to kiss the ring. Just be
Yeah.
successful. Just make sure that what you're developing needed somewhere. As simple as that.
Yeah.
So I absolutely see that comparison, and I absolutely see this growing, community of experts that now, thanks to social media, okay,
Yeah.
is accessible, as never before.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And, greatly and well said. For 2022 going into 2023, how do you see non-fungible tokens and cryptocurrency further, evolving or, kind of taking prominence? Because we have last year El Salvador recognizing, Bitcoin as legal tender. Do you see more countries following that example, later this year into the next year?
That's funny. Again, how much time we have? I mean, this
Right. Yeah.
question, yeah, this question alone deserves like good discussion with those who are in
We-
trenches, really, who making it happen. So for sure, NFT is trendy. Okay, crypto is trendy. That's not
yes.
gonna go anywhere. The government's trying to figure out, right? So of course,
Yeah.
more liberal economies, right? They have, again, what is it, more space to play with, and we're very lucky, being part of this world. So, and again, there will be loopholes, there will be tons
Right.
of tons of examples where critics will say,
Right.
aha, we shouldn't let that grow in front again, right? That's
Right.
just natural process of all of us adapting and understanding what is it going to be. So it's going to be part of the economy for sure, right?
Right.
So you did ask about NFTs. NFTs right now thought mostly, as again, as a way for artists, as a way for creative types to sort of, right, to monetize the work and to produce digital assets. That's
Right.
becoming, again, something bigger than their physical originals. But if you think about it a little broader, is that NFT is just another technology. Okay, if you
Yeah.
don't have a value, if your art, if any product that you're creating, if anything you do, right, if it's not resonating with some audience, with some customer base out there, then
Right.
digital is not gonna make you all successful
Very
overnight.
true. Right.
You see, so to me,
Absolutely.
this is just one of the tools, fantastic new mechanism, right? To spread the word, to put your wonderful creation out there. But, when you Louis Vuitton, it's already easier for you. Okay.
Yes. Much easier journey.
It's a little bit easier. They have their own challenges, right? But
Yeah.
they stepping, let's say I'm picking on them, just using as an example.
Right.
They're stepping, just expanding to digital world, right? A great physical experience they created in decades. Okay.
Right.
That will stay with them, good for Gucci, good for luxury brands out there, right? But at the same time, for artists who trying and who, stepping into this world, let them be part of digital, let them do physical, phygital, like phygital, absolutely. But just don't expect that necessarily technology will lead you into some things that are not justified by simple, right, demands of what you do and how you do it. Mm-hmm.
Right. And you mentioned another subspace here, robotics. So there's a lot of things going on in robotics, and I feel like they don't get enough coverage, so to say, in the tech space, either for better or for worse, because obviously, Web3 and blockchain and the things that come out of that are taking up a lot of the dialogue. But there's a lot of ingenuity and progress being made in robotics right now. And I was just wondering if you can touch on some of the more interesting innovations, from your perspective and also based on your background.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics, by the way, because
Yes.
robotics can be a very, I would say, pragmatic in a way, like the way enterprise lives, right? Everyone heard
Yes.
robotic process automation. Okay, so it's not quite robotic, it's not quite robust. This is like task automation. This is on your desktop, right? If you want to be productive, if you don't want to search through a bunch of emails, if you want to automate some of the tasks you do repetitively, yes, RPA is your help, right? This is like the most, I would say, applicable, applicable example. But the higher reach of robotics, we see all the funny videos, right? We see dancing robots, we see delivery robots, and we hope that one day, those guys is going to be helping elderly. It's going to be, helping kids, helping, I don't know, pets, helping us around our homes, right? That's not happening just yet. And again, I spoke with fantastic roboticist. There is such specialty roboticist, Tony Ellis from United Kingdom. He's huge on LinkedIn. He's like really thought leader in
sounds
robotic
familiar.
space.
I'll look him up.
Of course.
I
feel like I've seen
I've seen his Yeah, I think I've seen his name a few times. I'll check that out.
Probably on SaugaTalks, because he was one of my
Probably,
guests.
yeah.
Exactly. And fantastic story, because he spent many decades from, let's say, automating, let's say, engineering very hardwire engineered robots. Okay. And now
Yeah.
his journey into assistive robotics. Assistive, taking care of simple tasks around
Right.
elderly, around ill. That's such a huge application. And economics of that industry is not there yet. Okay.
Right.
The robots that he mentioned, they're about 15K pounds, I think, right, around the house, and not every household can afford it, and not
Right.
every, I would say, family can trust technology to that extent yet.
Right.
Okay. So of course that adoption curve, it's still
Right.
in front of us. But I applaud Tony, I applaud so many roboticists out there who just making those, the technology more seamless, the technology that will bring more trust from
Right.
customers, right? And again, once, speaking of industrial revolution, once production of those robots will go up, the price will go down. These simple elements
Right.
of economy, we don't want to help. I don't know if you use any robots in your house. I definitely use for floor clean, for
Oh,
floor
yeah.
cleaning.
Yeah, I have
That's
one of
fun.
those. Yeah.
That's good. They
Yeah.
work. They work.
Yeah.
They don't serve me coffee yet, but who knows? Maybe,
Right.
yeah. I can do it myself. That's great. That's fine. So
Right.
yeah. We're definitely at the new era, and again, the technology that's again was not there before, including extremely advanced AI technology. Conversational AI. Voice assistants, all that. Now, robots, become more advanced and again more helpful in the end.
Right.
Mhm.
And when do you think there's going to be a time where robots, so to say, will replace humans? By the way, I don't mean this necessarily in a negative sense, but do you think robots, and I'm talking
Mhm.
about advanced AI that can do functions like, let's say, me and you, would replace, let's say, humans in the context of warfare? There's so many movies, so many books made around this, especially, like the Terminator in that series. And, it's kind of different when you watch it as a kid and then you rewatch it again. So I rewatched it this weekend, the first and second one. And certainly as an adult, seeing all this, it's pretty much about a company that specializes in AI and robotics called Skynet. They started essentially creating robots to do things like, help out the elderly. They did, different types of, similar functions as well, like robots that can help lifting heavy loads in like, practical workplace scenarios. And then what happened was it moved into military contexts where essentially they had humans or humanoid essentially looking, you could say, humanoid looking products, so to say. So these are pretty much like these giant robotic exoskeletons with an AI to do things like, operate weaponry, they, analyze like a battlefield or things like that. Do you think that do you think society will be moving in that direction ultimately? Like, do you think that's going to be an eventuality, so to say?
You know what? It's already is
Right.
to a degree.
Right.
Okay. The horrific war that's happening right now, that we never thought is possible in
Yeah.
Europe again.
Yeah.
Okay. The horrific events, seeing how people defend their land. Okay. Seeing how they die for what they believe in. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Ukraine.
Yes.
All right. So we wish that all wars will be over 80 years ago. Okay.
Right.
We wish that none of us in our generation would ever see that devastation, that sorrow, that struggle, and that incredibly, I would say, human spirit that
Yeah.
prevails in all that destruction. Okay. So
Yeah.
I have to put this out there. Now, in modern warfare, there are drones, right?
Right.
There is AI, there are all the algorithms, there are all the recommendations, and I'm sure Ukrainians using the best technology available, to help people on the ground. Okay.
Right.
It pains me to no end to see people fighting and dying in real
Right.
time right now. Okay, with the amount of information we're getting, just we feel that we're part of those events, those devastated cities for no reason.
Yeah.
Okay, the death of civilians, the death of military personnel. People forget about that sometimes. I mean, we all, of course, we're all heartbroken for civilians, but people forget that military, they are people.
Yeah.
They are people, and if their war is just, they not deserve to die.
Yeah.
Okay, they deserve to defend the civilians. They
Yeah.
live to protect. Okay, so again, I am devastated. I'm completely devastated by what's happening right now for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
It's not just my background. It's not just part of my families that are on both sides. It's not about that at all. It's about what you mentioned, warfare and our relationship in the future. What will we learn?
Yeah.
Okay, I want robots to clean floors and
Right.
to help elderly. I don't want the
Right.
robots to fight, either they're
Right.
on my side or on their own side. I don't want that to see ever. So
Right.
thanks to American, I don't know, movie industry, generations grew up just watching fantastic movies and seeing how we all prevail and how good always, at the end
Right.
wins. That's inspiring if you kind of want this kind of emotions in you.
Right.
Sure, let them think ahead, let them create those futuristic, horrific pictures, right? We just
Right.
don't want to live in those times when we have to kill each other with robots or without robots. And
Right.
again, I completely understand. I don't want to make this, it's a big
No, please
political
continue.
statement. Yeah. But to me, wars may not be always avoidable, as painful it is for me to say. Okay,
Right.
when you see part of the empire breaking away from other parts for whatever reasons, okay,
Yeah.
there gotta be better ways. There gotta be
Yeah.
better ways. So robots not gonna be the answers. Robots, they're good. They're technology, right? They can replace us, and they're already replacing lots of weapons, drones. New rockets. They're all
Yeah.
self-navigating. They're so advanced, but they still created to kill or
Yeah.
maybe to protect. So
Right.
let's become better humans as a result of these horrific events, and let's sort of find where force is needed to
Right.
show the force and to protect, because good is never good unless it can protect itself,
Right.
right? That's another my strong position.
Yes.
At the same time, in the history of humankind, the agreement that happened after Second World War, that never again on
Right.
European continent or anywhere else in the world, okay, never again. And yet we are witnessing the new horrific practices, and what we're seeing, it's
Yeah.
beyond comprehension. So let's become, with technology, let's become better humans.
Right.
Otherwise, technology in wrong hands,
You're right.
you don't want to deal with it.
Right. Yeah, yeah, and just to add to that, and by the way, that was beautifully put, but if leaders had to actually fight their own battles, I feel that many would be reluctant to even fire off one shot, so to say. And and if you look at the news coverage, who is it always? It's women, it's children, it's young people, husbands, boyfriends, fathers, cousins. It's very, very real and very, very heartbreaking. So I hope. I hope that society moves to a point where, let's say, if robotics and AI moves to that type of level, where they're almost like kind of sentient and almost like self-aware, that there's enough good, both wisdom and leadership behind it, so the good can be protected, and a lot of the bad can be prevented, so to say. I will have to
You-
say, when it comes to robotics and AI, one of the most promising things I've seen has been in prosthetics and medical implants, actually, through robotics. Where if you were like to look at the 80s and 90s, so to say, a lot of the prosthetics for either like hands or digits or arms and things like that, or legs, were rather kind of rudimentary, almost primitive to a lot of things nowadays. So with things like AI, I've seen robotics, you could say robotic implants made by many companies. These are ocular implants, auditory implants, essentially, limb implants, were essentially, using effectively AI and using, more advanced, you could say, machinery to power the robotics. The functionality of, let's say, a hand or an eye or or you could say an auditory implant is mind-blowing. And in fact, it's almost as if it's near to the real thing nowadays. So looking at the upside of robotics, the advances in, you could say, medical technology are astounding, to say the least. You can essentially have, in many ways, a near perfect functioning limb or organ with some of the advances today, thanks to, robotics, where before, by the way, this is like, 10 years ago and beyond, that might have not been the case, so to say. And I think more of this is going to make these things cheaper over time, which is, I think, ultimately should be the end goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why you see, I repost on tweet, I retweet all the fun videos when we see this working. Because again, some of them real, some of them just too futuristic. But at the same time, it's a huge inspiration. So before we kind of shop in Metaverse, if you ask me where to invest, I mean, we have to be everywhere for sure. But definitely technology that improves people's lives today. All right, that's definitely for me a priority. Yeah.
And like I said, robotics has so much to offer. So when I see that, I'm very, very hopeful at the same time as well. And I do tend to be a glass half full type of individual. So
for sure. And again,
Yes.
We applaud to those experts, engineers, creators who work on this day and night. And of course, we hear about huge breakthroughs here and there, but just appreciating how many decades, how many dozens, thousands of people it took, to get where we are right now. It's just astonishing.
Right. And on an ending note, what do you have planned for this year for SaugaTalks? Maybe some upcoming guests you'd like to mention?
Oh, sure. Yeah. But this is ongoing. This is ongoing journey for me. All right. So it seemed to be like naturally, like you mentioned, right? We talked about Metaverse, NFTs. Last couple of months, I focused on those topics. They just pop up here and there. There is no way of avoiding them. And again, I learn thanks to my guests, thanks to them. So of course, again, my area will be for few more weeks. Join us, listening to, like, next week. I'm starting series of videos with Wayne Butterfield, who is automation expert.
Ooh, I'll be sure to tune in.
Automation, exactly. And Wayne has tremendous experience across enterprises, across startups, in a way that improving enterprise, again, ability to grow bottom line and at the same time reduce costs. So automation comes in all shapes and forms. Right now, there is this buzzword out there called intelligent automation.
Talk about that. Intelligent
automation. Think about that. So of course it's AI, it's process, it's enterprise automation at the level of multifunctional, multi-departmental collaborations. So on that, and the conversation we had with Wayne was about, guess what? It's about culture and nature of people who want to be part of the same team. So again, with the moment we start talking about automation or technology, so quickly it becomes about people, and so quickly it becomes part of, if you want to adapt new technology, change your people mindset. All right.
Well said.
That's what's gonna be a critical topic. Again, automation is ongoing, AI is ongoing focus, digital growth, because believe it or not, so many companies still live in somewhat semi-analog world.
Right.
Okay. Because again, another big buzzword, digital
analog world. Yeah.
Analog world is still with us, so many companies do need to optimize, do need to implement new practices and new technologies as part of those transformations. So tune in for SaugaTalks. Yes, shameless plug right here. Absolutely. Find us.
Hey, I love it. By all means. There needs to be more podcasters such as yourself doing this and having guests come on and really expand knowledge and really provide insight into a lot of these things, because a lot of nuance and context is really needed to understand a lot of these things. And like you, and with my show, I like to have people come on who can really add to the dialogue, who can add substance and add something to up to really the way people conceptualize and learn about these things as well. And to be honest, conversation is one of the best ways to learn things. And if you look at
For me, for
society,
sure. For me, for
societies,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
I change my mind a lot. I change my positions. It opens up my horizons. When
yeah,
I listen to person, to me
same
it's
here.
very connectable. Yeah, absolutely. So I encourage everyone, subscribe to Adam's show, subscribe to SaugaTalks.
Yes,
We here
be
into
surprised.
something
Yes, the
great.
SaugaTalks as well. And societies, regardless of where they are built around storytelling. Countries have been built around storytelling. So this is, a blockchain Web3 tech community in of itself, podcasters such as yourself who are, doing these awesome things. So Irene, I just wanted to say it was an absolute pleasure having you come on today and provide your insight into AI, into robotics, into, some of these things that are going on. I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you do as a podcaster, especially being in a very similar role as well. I surely appreciate what you do and the guests that you bring on and the continued generation of content, because people still appreciate long form dialogues and podcasts. Not everything is kind of like the 2 to 3 second stimulation overload type of content. People really do kind of want to sit down, they want to relax, and they kind of want to learn as they get their day started or while they're even ending their day, so to say. So it's always kind of a grind, and it always does require energy to constantly doing your research, bringing guests on, thinking about, talking points to add. So, it's fun, but I'm sure you can agree, it does require a lot of energy during the week to do a lot of this stuff. So, from me to you, I am absolutely honored, and I am absolutely happy to see what you're doing with SaugaTalks. I'm looking forward myself to catch more and more of the episodes. And I'm looking forward to having you come back on in a few months, and perhaps we can pick off our conversation from here today and talk more about robotics and what
Absolutely.
2023 will look like.
We'll continue our collaboration, Adam. Thank you so much.
We will.
Thank you for the audiences out there. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, perfect. I'll talk to you later and have a great weekend. Take care.